Apparently, disillusioned adventurers will save the world. Is it worth reading? Join me and find out.
That man and his manga.
Hello and welcome to That Man. That is my merchandise, and today we are going to look at apparently disillusioned adventurers will save the world. I'm going to call this just Disillusioned Adventurers because it's a bit of a tongue-tied title. Now, first things first, this was sent to me as a review copy by Yen Press for a fair and honest review. I have been getting a few of these and I have been trying to get through them, and you know what? I really like this one.
Nick is a knowledgeable and skilled adventurer who always gave his party his best. That is, until he got framed and unceremoniously kicked out. He hits rock bottom when his girlfriend dumps him, but before long, he finds kindred spirits in a former noble, an excommunicated priest, and a Dragonian warrior he meets at the bar. Having also lost faith in humanity after individual betrayals, these three share Nick's distrust in others. That isn't all they have in common though. All four are in dire need of money. Thus begins the story of the world's greatest adventuring party.
So this is just one of those titles, it's another fantasy title about a bunch of people who, well, they all have trust issues, and the entire first half of this volume is about all of them people with trust issues before they form a party, and it turns out that party is pretty darn good. Now, this does have an anime adaptation which is currently ongoing, and I will link the name of it below because for some reason Crunchyroll have it as a completely different name and a lot of the characters are actually called something else, which is going to be very confusing when it comes to talking about this one because people are going to be searching for, most likely, the anime title. I'm going off this. Is this one worth reading? Now, I'm going to be honest, I really like this one, and that comes as quite a surprise because I looked at it and I was just like, oh, you know what, it's not going to be anything particularly amazing. I've seen this fantasy trope done before, you know, mismatched people where they're all a little bit goofy and they all have their weird little trope, but you know what, this one was actually really good because every single character is incredibly flawed. They've had something horrible happen to them in the past and they've managed to get over it. And the reason they've gotten over it is because they've fallen into some kind of addiction. Whether it's eating food, gambling, or just going to idol concerts. Don't know about that one. Seems a little bit unrealistic.
Have you seen my whole life figure collection, by the way?
But to be honest, it actually works for it. That gives the characters a little bit extra in terms of relatability. I feel like these are genuine characters in the world somewhere because they have a flaw, they have a vice, they have a weakness, and they've all had a nice little backstory. So let's talk about the characters themselves, shall we? First up, we have Nick, who is quite an experienced adventurer. He actually starts off getting kicked out of an adventurer's party because, well, he's handling the money and, well, not everybody seems to like that. He's got a little bit too tight of a hand on the purse. And you know what? I read the manga of this one afterwards and that felt completely different to how it was in the light novel. I kind of felt like in the light novel the adventure was kind of just like, oh yeah, you're kind of too good for this party, we're letting you go, whereas that was a little bit absent in the manga. But I quite liked it. I quite liked that. I kind of felt that he is pretty competent and it just so happens that there's people out to get him. This is going to be a recurring thing, people out to get one another. Of course, his luck constantly becomes worse as his girlfriend dumps him, and it's revealed that she was just playing him for a fool. He ends up on the brink of, well, destruction, and he is comforted by a young girl who says, come here, come to this, you'll have a good time. He goes there, there's a lot of people that he doesn't know, a lot of guys hanging around, and then he discovers idol concerts, which changed his life. Another character is Tiana. Now, she is a noble girl who, well, again, doesn't really have a good particular life. She is the mage of the group and, well, she's pretty proficient in her skills. She has been taught well at a young age, however, Unfortunately, her husband is stolen away from her and she is kicked out of noblehood. What does she find? Well, she discovers gambling, a way to try and make money with whatever money she's got. And that, of course, ends up as an addiction. Another character is Zem, the priest of the party. And yeah, he fills the healing role. And what happened to him? Well, he was pretty much adored by everybody in the priesthood. And he was actually a good priest. He was pretty honest and he looked after everybody. However, he didn't return the feelings of a young girl far too young for him. And, well, she lies and says he did horrible things to her. Abused her sexually. And, well, everybody turns on him. Everybody believes the young girl and he is cast out. Not knowing where to go, he finds solace in the arms of a woman and gets addicted to women. And finally, we have Karen, a young dragon girl who is pretty inexperienced, but is going to make a good adventurer. She trusts other people far too easily and falls for a lot of very deceitful ploys, to the point that her entire party use her as, well, a shield and leave her for dead in a dungeon. They steal all of her equipment and a lot of important items to her and leave her for dead. She survives that, however, and, well, she finds solace in eating food. That's right, while the others is gambling, idols, women, she just enjoys eating a good meal and vows to have a nice meal with all of her hard-earned cash. So, all of these characters run out of money and they have to form a party. That's right, they have to form a party to get cash and spend on all of their vices. And what happens? They just so happen to be at the same bar as each other, vowing to never trust anybody again. However, they're probably going to start trusting each other. What I liked about this series, well, I'm going to be honest, I loved this series. I really enjoyed it. And the fact of the matter is that what I've spoken about, introducing the characters and introducing the plot, is the first half of the book. In fact, it's probably only the first third of the book. And what I loved about this is that it really gave me classic memories of titles such as Live Alive, Dragon Quest IV and Octopath Traveler. The start of the book introduces the party. We know the party by the time the party is formed. Yeah, some of them going to probably have skeletons in the closet, but they do have interesting backstories. To the point that, like I said, all of these characters feel pretty genuine. They feel like they're pretty fleshed out. We get a chapter for each character before they're introduced, and that had me hooked. That really had me hooked. None of the characters just feel like mysterious strangers. They all do feel pretty honest and upfront about everything. And this is the same as titles such as Konosuba, where we kind of know a lot of these characters very early on, and from then we kind of just need to kind of get on with things and advance the plot. I really like that, and honestly that's one of the things I really loved about this particular volume. The problem I have with this one is not that bad. I did enjoy this a lot more than a lot of other ones, and it's just a minor one in that I feel like once the party does get assembled, it kind of falls into a traditional, you know, save the world kind of plot. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's volume 1. They're of course going to have all of the usual things we need to have in a volume 1 for a fantasy one, you know, getting the party together, going on the first quest, having the whole kind of, oh, we can't do teamwork kind of thing, oh, we'll have one of them show off a little special ability. And yeah, you know, it kind of moved from being very rich in character and backstory into just being kind of a pretty ho-hum title. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I love this one, and I have full intentions of picking up more volumes. While the plot was pretty darn predictable of the second half, there was a lot of things that kind of threw me for a loop. And I don't really want to get too into it for spoiler territory, but there is something where it holds everything together, because as the title says, they're likely going to save the world. They are likely the chosen heroes. So of course we're probably going to get the whole Demon Lord shenanigans. But apart from that, it was just very good. I really enjoyed my time. I loved the backstories. Overall, I loved the plot. I was interested to see where things go next. It was overall just a fantastic little read. It wasn't too taxing, and it gave me everything I kind of wanted in a volume 1. It introduced the characters, it introduced them well, it gave them all a rich backstory, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more surprises along the way. Honestly, I can't recommend this one enough. It's a really good series, and you guys, you may want to go check it out.